Tipping in France. When to tip, who should you tip, and how much is appropriate? We'll get into this in a minute, but first, I'm Brandon with the Adept Traveler, and this is Travel Explained. The first thing to understand is that tipping is not required in France. There is a 15% service fee automatically added at restaurants, bars, cafes, etc. Servers in France get salaries, paid vacation, and healthcare. In France, it used to be common to leave a 15% plus tip to cover the service costs. In 1985, the French government passed a law requiring that employees are to be paid no less than the minimum wage, which has a different name in France. This law essentially outlawed the practice of having a wage paid by tips. The service fee was created for two reasons. The first should be obvious: to cover the wage or salary paid to the serve staff. The second was to explain the increase in prices to patrons who were not yet acclimated to the new system. Travel tip. If you ask a server if the tip is included, they will tell you no. They're not being dishonest, because it's not a tip, it's a service fee. This fee doesn't go straight to the server, it actually goes to the establishment to cover employee costs, such as their salary. So then, when is it appropriate to tip? Well, basically any time the service justifies it. Did a server go above and beyond to give you an enjoyable experience? If they went above and beyond in any way, then tipping is a good way to show your appreciation. Now that we know that tipping is not only acceptable, but encouraged for good service, we need to talk about who to tip. I've been saying the word server to generalize a common group of employees you should consider tipping. Using this word implies waitstaff, bartenders, and the sort. But there are other professions that aren't food service, which should also be included in consideration to receive a tip as a token of your appreciation. Some of the other professions you should consider tipping include taxi drivers and chauffeurs, hotel staff, beauty salon and spa employees, as well as tours, classes, and other tourist activities. Now that we know who to tip and when to tip, let's talk about how much. Of course, this is all relative, based on your ability to tip and your opinion of the quality of service given. Remember that you don't have to tip if you don't feel the person has done anything to justify it. In a restaurant or bar, it's common to leave a few euro or round the bill up to the nearest euro. If the service was really good, consider leaving 5 to 10%. However, keep in mind that using an American mindset of 15 to 20% is well outside French norms. Remember that the waitstaff is being paid, so a tip is not expected. So don't feel bad leaving a small token of your appreciation if the service calls for it. When taking a taxi or private car, tipping is also not expected. Consider rounding up to the nearest euro. If they help with bags, especially if the bags are large, consider a euro or two per bag. For a private car service, a tip between 5 and 10% isn't bad at all. Hotel staff should not be overlooked. Tipping amounts will vary. For example, tipping 1 or 2 euros per bag to luggage handlers is acceptable. Feel free to slip a few euros to the room service staff and consider 2 to 4 euros per day to housekeeping staff. It's never a bad idea to show appreciation to the people taking care of you while you're away from home. The concierge is a bigger range of what's acceptable, depending on the quality of the establishment, how often you use them, and generally how much work you ask them to do. Tipping the concierge between 5 and 20 euro is generally acceptable. Tipping in spas and salons is generally encouraged, so beauticians, hairdressers, massage therapists, and other professionals in these industries should be considered. 5 to 10% can be considered appropriate. Tipping etiquette becomes less straightforward when we're talking about tourist activities. Usually, if you take a private tour, excursion, or class directly with a guide or instructor, you will be charged a flat rate to cover their services. So for this, tipping isn't expected. However, if they do a good job, consider showing your appreciation. When using a tour company, online service, or booking through the concierge, they may not be paid like you'd expect. Check the booking confirmation to see if tipping is encouraged. Depending on the service, you could tip as much as 10% to even 20%. Again, this is a tricky area that needs to be determined on a case-by-case basis. Travel tip. If you decide to tip and are paying with a credit card, you will be surprised to learn there is no field to add a tip. For this reason, it's always good to carry small currency to be used for tipping purposes. Did you enjoy this video? Feel free to send us a tip, or consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. If we get enough subscribers, we can eventually monetize the channel and make a little money. And of course, you benefit from all the great content we put out. We add about 4 to 5 new videos each week. And better yet, if you really liked what we said, consider using us to help you plan your next trip. Travel Explained is brought to you by The Adept Traveler, a travel agency that specializes in accessible travel. Our goal is to help all travelers, from the novice to the expert, from the able-bodied to the disabled, to travel well. Until next time, travel well, my friends.